podcast. Yeah, it's the Steve Gunner podcast. You're tuned in to the Steve Gunner podcast. Get up, it's the Steve Gunner podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Steve Gunter podcast, where we discuss the steps, the strategies, and the mindset of real estate investing, tailor-made for the pro athlete. I'm Steve Gunter, your host, and it's an honor to be with you today. So, much to talk about in the world of real estate, and everything seems to begin and end with talks about mortgage rates. A new report that was just released says that weekly mortgage rates demands have surged, or that weekly mortgage demands have surged 11% as more homes are coming to market before the spring. And I've been saying it for the past few months that we are anticipating an early spring market. We saw a small downtick in the interest rates, not very noticeable, but essentially, rates are currently hovering around 7% as of today. Nationally, inventory in the month of February was up substantially, about 15% higher compared with the same period last year, in fact, according to Realtor.com. And what was most notable were the homes priced between the ranges of $200,000 to $350,000, which grew by 25% from a year ago, outpacing all other price categories. So there is certainly inventory that is available in many markets across the country, some at price points, of course, better than others. But ultimately, that means that it's important to begin your search sooner rather than later. I think we've watched it plenty of times when buyers are just constantly waiting, sitting on the sidelines, hoping that rates go down lower. And even if they do, it kind of really doesn't make a difference, because by the time they do finally hop into the market is so competitive that they're faced with a situation where they're competing with everyone in the neighborhood for that same property, and hence paying way more than what they could have paid if they had purchased the property a month or two ago. So get off the fence if you've been sitting on the sidelines. Now is the time. 855-577-6773 is our toll-free number for anyone looking to buy or sell real estate anywhere across the country. Every year, the United States Census Bureau puts out this report that tells us how many people moved. And in 2023, that number was around 25.5 million people, a little bit more than that, but approximately. Although that seems like a high number, and yes, it is, but it's actually 9% fewer than the total number of people who moved in 2022. And it is actually the lowest percentage of relocators ever recorded since that number started being recorded back in 1948. Now, part of the reason is obviously due to the change in how people work today. Many people are working remotely. We all know that. I'm pretty sure you have friends. You perhaps work remotely. And so not too many people are showing up to the office these days. And of course, that's an entirely different conversation by itself. However, much of it had to do with the housing affordability issue we experienced in 2023. And not to belabor the point, though, but this year is clearly showing signs of a shift in the market. There's a lot of pent up demand across the country, and 18% of that 25.5 million people were people who moved across state lines. Now, the question is, what states did they move to? And generally, people are looking for places where they feel they can get more bang for their buck. U-Haul recently released, U-Haul, let me say that again, recently released a report. That's hard to say. Recently released a report, and they also do an annual report surrounding relocators, which highlights the states that saw the highest number of movers in one-way U-Haul equipment. California, unfortunately, had the largest net loss of one-way movers for the fourth year in a row. Wow. And personally, I hate that for California. I was actually just there back in, I believe it was November, and I was there for the first time, and I absolutely loved it. I was in San Diego. The weather was perfect. The food was amazing, and the people were really nice. So I hate to see that California continues to lose so many residents because it's such a beautiful place with amazing weather and just it's a wonderful place. Um, but California has been dealing with a continuous rising cost of living. And for most people, they obviously find it hard to make ends meet. I think I read one article that said something like the average monthly expense in San Jose was 71% higher than the national average. That's something to deal with, and I'm pretty sure that's tough for most people. But getting back to the point, and this is really no secret, but the top five states have, for the most part, been in the top five for the past several years. No shockers on this list. Number one was Texas. Who doesn't love Texas? Texas barbecue. I mean, Houston is amazing. I mean, Texas is just a great place. Number two was Florida. Number three was my home state of North Carolina. South Carolina was number four, and Tennessee was number five. These five states have, for the most part, dominated in places people are moving to, but also in terms of companies moving in. As an example, here in North Carolina, Apple has a massive, massive campus currently being built, actually not too far from my office. I know those other states that were mentioned also have a lot of businesses moving into their state. There's something to be said about that. Really, I mean, maybe there's something in the air. Who knows? But what's also interesting is that a very high number of pro athletes, coaches, and others that are part of the sports and entertainment community reside in these locations. These are generally the states they decide to make their home base or ultimately decide to retire in once their playing days are over. But perhaps part of it has something to do with the kind of real estate that you can buy with your money in these states. But it probably, and this is most likely the case, has something to do with taxes. I really don't care how much money you make. It doesn't matter. No one wants to keep giving Uncle Sam a bunch of money every time it's tax season. And even more importantly, watch the money be mishandled. Good God, please don't get me started on that conversation. I mean, tax season is right around the corner too. But to that point, this year I'm actually going to try to be happy. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure out a way to be happy while I'm writing my check. That's what I'm going to do. I'm serious. I really mean it. I'm going to be happy writing my check to Uncle Sam because, look, what other choice do I have? Got to do it, right? Might as well be happy. Okay. 855-577-6773 is our toll-free number for anyone looking to buy or sell real estate anywhere across the great country of the USA. A few days ago was Super Tuesday, and it's not necessarily my preference to talk politics on this show. I mainly just hope people will exercise their right to vote. But politics do play a major role in real estate. One of the reasons why realtors are so involved in the political process is to protect the rights of homeowners. There have been many times where some, should I say, bright people in Washington, D.C., who have wanted to take away the mortgage interest deduction that millions of homeowners benefit from, among many other benefits that are now in place. So, we realtors have our own political action committee that we contribute to in order to ensure that our interests are being heard. And as a consequence, the interests of homeowners. And to that point, one of the many things that I absolutely love about this profession uh, is that realtors are very much a part of their communities. We're the baseball coach on the weekends. You know, we're the person coming into the school to speak to the class on career day. We're the one who knows exactly how much every house in the neighborhood sold for, when it sold, and the kids who grew up uh, in that neighborhood, because we're also your neighbor. So realtors literally represent the people because we are the people. But Donald Trump won the Republican primary here in North Carolina convincingly, I might add, against Nikki Haley. And Joe Biden, of course, went uncontested in the Democratic primary. Um, Last night, I actually stayed up and watched the State of the Union address. And the one thing that's always entertaining to me is how one side always stands up, always, and cheers for what, you know, their party's president says, and the other remains seated. It's almost as though both parties don't agree on anything. It's the weirdest thing, and I don't know about you, but I haven't personally met one person in my lifetime that I couldn't find any sort of an agreement with. Um, but for some reason, that is the theatrics that we are always faced with in our political environment today. But I digress. Uh, since Super Tuesday, Nikki Haley has gotten out of the race, and now we have a rematch of 2020. And I won't spend much time here because I'm not super qualified even to talk politics, but I will reiterate what I mentioned just a moment ago, and that is to vote. Use your voice, man. Use your voice. That's the power we have in this country as citizens, our vote. Some people believe that their vote doesn't count in all of these sorts of things, but as far as I'm concerned, that's a mute conversation. At least with me, it is. What I do know is that I have the right to vote. And whatever little bit of power that is, I plan to use it alongside all the other citizens of this great country who bother to participate in the process. And that's all I got to say about. Hey guys, quick interruption. If you're currently looking to buy or sell real estate anywhere across the country, we can help. We have partners who have been vetted and are absolute pros. I mean, they know their stuff. You can give us a call on our toll-free number at 855-577-6773, or you can reach us at guntergroupnc.com. That's guntergroupnc.com. Now back to the show. One of my goals with this podcast is to hopefully increase your knowledge base in land. It's a space that most people aren't familiar with, and I get it because it's not what most of us grew up around. And as a result, stay away from it as an investment option. But I recently recorded an episode that gives you a brief overview of the power of being a landowner. So perhaps you can check it out when you get a chance. But I wanted to draw your attention to a recent story that may get you excited about the opportunities that exist in land investing. A few days ago, the Triangle Business Journal, a local publication here in Raleigh, put out an article regarding land that had recently been acquired by the city of Rocky Mount, which is about an hour east of Raleigh. The article stated that the city purchased 42 acres, which is a starting point for their plan to acquire roughly 336 acres of land and allocating around $15 million for this investment. Now, on the surface, it doesn't sound like much, but the reason this story is rather interesting is because the land had been flagged as the site for a potential casino. Now, here's the thing. Commercial casinos currently aren't lawful in this Tar Heel state. But last year, lawmakers were pushing a proposal that would allow 3 casinos to operate in the state, including a county the city of Rocky Mount is in. That bill faced resistance and was ultimately shelved. So it sounds like there are still more discussions that need to be had, which I'm pretty sure they will eventually come to an agreement on. However, here's what you can take away from the story that I think is really important and I don't want you to miss. First, the city jumped on an opportunity that is, for the most part, a once in a lifetime opportunity to own a prime piece of land that has strong economic development potential. Location is everything in real estate. You perhaps have heard the the phrase, location, location, location. It is all about location in real estate. And it's not so much about owning the land, excuse me. It's not so much about owning the land as much as it is about owning that location. The location is the lever. The right location greatly amplifies your return on investment. The city then went on to say that they didn't have a specific desire or vision for the site, but they believe that it could be an economic hub. I think we can all read between the lines here. It's not that difficult. The city of Rocky Mount does have a vision, and that is to add to the city's tax base. That's the vision. Expand the city's utility services, therefore increasing the city's revenue. And oh, by the way, sell the land for more than what they paid for it. So the vision is clear. Perhaps very similar to the vision that many of you would have. You invest in land, you want a return on your investment. The vision is primarily economic, right? Even if you're looking to to put something there that is attractive to residents, attractive to others to come into your area, whatever it may be. The point is economics. The next takeaway, though, was that they use the information. They use the information, usually monthly. Even in the town that you live in, there are planning meetings and council meetings that take place. During those meetings, there are discussions being had about what's being planned and what's being built and where. These meetings are free to the public, and almost no one attends them. In fact, the public is encouraged to participate and offer their opinions on proposals being made, but no one goes. Perhaps you might decide to sit in on these meetings to learn more about what's happening currently in your community and what's to take place in the future. That information will be insight that you can then use to begin planning and positioning yourself from an investment standpoint. In the last episode that I did on land, I talked about having a general awareness about where people are migrating to, as well as spotting common opportunities you might come across, such as dilapidated homes in a great location, buying that property, tearing that house down, then holding until it's the right time to sell. But this level of awareness and information gathering is far more reaching, which can lead to far greater results. You see, land investing is about seeing the opportunity that will yield results years down the road, not months, years. You see? But here's the difference: the results can be life changing. You decide to flip a house, that's not going to be life changing resources. It's just not. You rent out a house, it's not going to be life changing. All of those tactics work. All of those tactics perhaps are is a direction that you may decide to go in. It's not telling you not to. Well, all I'm saying here is that taking a land position can completely change the direction of your current economics, period. Not by a little, but by a whole lot. This message about information gathering, buying and holding, sometimes for years, isn't a popular message. I get that. It's not popular. It doesn't bring a return quickly. And generally speaking, people don't get excited about things that don't happen quickly, instantaneously, right? We want the instant gratification. Give it to me now. Give it to me now, you know? But that's not how it works. That's not where the opportunities, in fact, even lie. Not the opportunities that are worth having. It's not full of excitement. And sometimes you might even wonder, why the hell did you buy the thing that you now own, because you're paying all of these taxes on it? And perhaps maybe the land, it's not cash flowing. You don't know how to, make it cash flow. I get that. But high value opportunities take time to mature. They take time to mature. And once the season is right, you'll be glad you played a patient game versus a quick game. That's all I got for you today, folks. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for sharing. And until next time, be good, my friends.
Can't stop, we can't lose. You can't win if you snooze. So do more and say less. So get up and let's work and be the best. Yeah, you're tuned in to the Steve Gunner Podcast. Yeah, the Steve Gunner Podcast. You're tuned in to the Steve Gunner Podcast. Get up, it's the Steve Gunner Podcast.